Well, y'all, we are back. Day 80 of this story. We have just had Jesus go before Pilate, and Pilate find no fault in him. Man, what do you think is going to happen next? It says, this is Pilate talking. Look, I am bringing him out to you to let you know that I find no basis for a charge against him. When Jesus came out wearing the crown of thorns and the purple robe, Pilate said to them, "Here is the man." As soon as the chief priests and their officials saw him, they shouted, "Crucify! Crucify!" But Pilate answered, "You take him and crucify him. As for me, I find no basis for a charge against him." The Jewish leaders insisted, "We have a law, and according to that law, he must die, because he claimed to be the Son of God." When Pilate heard this, he was even more afraid, and he wanted back inside the palace. "Where do you come from?" He went back inside the palace. He said, "Where do you come from?" He asked Jesus, but Jesus gave him no answer. "Do you refuse to speak to me?" Pilate said. Don't you realize I have power either to free you or to crucify you?" Jesus answered, "You would have no power over me if it were not given to you from above. Therefore, the one who handed me over to you is guilty of a greater sin." From then on, Pilate tried to set Jesus free, but the Jewish leaders kept shouting, "If you let this man go, you are no friend of Caesar. Anyone who claims to be a king opposes Caesar." When Pilate heard this, he brought Jesus out and sat down on the judge's seat at the place known as the stone pavement, which in Aramaic is Gabbatha. It was the day of preparation of the Passover. It was about noon. "Here is your king," Pilate said to the Jews. But they shouted, "Take him away! Take him away! Crucify him!" "Shall I crucify your king?" Pilate asked. "We have no king but Caesar," the chief priests answered. Finally, Pilate handed him over to them to be crucified. So the soldiers took charge of Jesus. As they were going out, they met a man from Cyrene, named Simon, and they forced him to carry the cross. Cyrene. Roman crucifixion was a cruel punishment, nailed to a wooden cross by wrists and feet. It was excruciating, slow, and very public way to die. The victim's groaning became a morning entertainment for onlookers. Seeing the horrors of the crucifixion was an effective deterrent for wrongdoers. For Jesus, this heinous death was undeserved. As he gave his life, he looked beyond it to God's bigger story of salvation that was being played out through his life and death. Those who passed by hurled insults at him, shaking their heads and saying, "So you who are going to destroy the temple and build it in 3 days, come down from the cross and save yourselves." Or save yourself. There's no selves. In the same way, the chief priests and the teachers of the law mocked him among themselves. "He saved others," they said, "but he can't save himself. Let this Messiah, this King of Israel, come down now from the cross, that we may see and believe." 2 other men, both criminals, were also led out with him to be executed. When they came to the place called the Skull, they crucified him there, along with the criminals, one on his right and the other on his left. Jesus said, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they are doing." And they divided up his clothes by casting lots. The people stood watching, and the rulers even sneered at him. They said, "He saved others. Let him save himself if he is God's Messiah, the chosen one." The soldiers also came up and mocked him. They offered him wine vinegar and said, "If you are the king of the Jews, save yourself." There was a written notice above him, which read, "This is the King of the Jews." One of the criminals who hung there hurled insults at him. "Aren't you the Messiah? Save yourself and us." But the other criminal rebuked him. "Don't you fear God?" he said. "Since you are under the same sentence, we are punished justly, for we are getting what our deeds deserve, but this man has done nothing wrong." Then he said, "Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom." Jesus answered him, "Truly I tell you, today you will be with me in paradise." Near the cross of Jesus stood his mother's sister, Mary, the wife of Clopas, and Mary Magdalene. When Jesus saw his mother there, and the disciple whom he loved standing nearby, he said to her, "Woman, here is your son," and to the disciple, "Here is your mother." From that time on, this disciple took her into his home. For those made to suffer crucifixion, death itself was the only resolution. So Jesus waited that day along with 2 other victims and a crowd of onlookers for death to overcome him. Before that, however, a deeper pain was coming, a pain that went far beyond the nails in his feet and wrists, the labored breathing, or the crown of the thorns puncturing his brow. God poured out humanity's rightful punishment for sin upon his Son, and even the physical elements trembled. It was now about noon, and darkness came over the whole land until 3 in the afternoon, for the sun stopped shining, and the curtain of the temple was torn in 2. About 3 in the afternoon, Jesus cried out in a loud voice, "Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani," which means, my God, why have you forsaken me?" When some of those standing there heard this, they said, "He's calling Elijah." Immediately one of them ran and got a sponge. He filled it with wine vinegar, put it on a staff, and offered it to Jesus to drink. The rest said, "No, now leave him alone. Let's see if Elijah comes to save him." It's not Elijah they're calling to. When he had received the drink, Jesus said, "It is finished." With that, he bowed his head and gave up his spirit. At that moment, the curtain of the temple was torn in 2 from top to bottom. The earth shook, the rocks split, and the tombs broke open. The bodies of many holy people who had died were raised to life. They came out of the tombs after Jesus' resurrection and went into the holy city and appeared to many people. When the centurion and those with him who were guarding Jesus saw the earthquake and all that had happened, they were terrified and exclaimed, "Surely he was the Son of God." When all the people who had gathered to witness this sight saw what took place, they beat their breasts and went away. But all those who knew him, including the women who had followed him from Galilee, stood at a distance and watched these things. That's it. Page 380. We got 27th chapter coming up, which will be the resurrection. Come on. Jesus went to the grave. He went to hell. And you know what he did? Defeated them both. He said, "Sin, you've got no power here. You've got no authority. I have you. I have the power." And in your life, he's saying that same thing. He's defeated that sin already. He's the one with the power. If only you accept him to do what it is he's asking to do in your life. He's already paid the price. Accept him into your life, and you too may be healed. Think about that. Think about that. He already paid this price. Why don't you just accept him? Well, y'all, it's a good night. See, I was at Royal Rangers again, doing some kids stuff. Me and my boys in there just making Pinewood Derby cars, to be honest. That was the bulk of it, and playing and eating. But Pinewood Derby cars, the bulk of it. But hey, I love y'all. I pray you have a blessed day. Look how early you're done. But we finished the chapter, and I don't think I got time to start in the next one. So it's time to get done. And then you know what I can do? I can look, and if this one gets more likes than the ones that have a long time on them, I'll know y'all like short better. But it takes so long to get through the bucket shirt. If you go short, you're just not going to get what you need. Yeah, not going to get it all. It's going to take you too long. Cannot wait to see what's coming in the resurrection, though. I love y'all. Y'all have a blessed day, and bye. Love ya.